For today's cup of coffee, I keep waiting for Kid to do something. I truly, truly do. Because he usually does. And that's just, I've got Kid PTSD. That's frightening.
I ain't got nothing today. I feel like shit.
It's been a low-key day. The energy has just been really...
It's been a low-key day because I felt like shit.
Well, it's just, it's just one of those days. Planetary alignments have been...
Went to bed feeling like shit. Woke up feeling like shit.
Well,
Woke up late and I did not.
2 o'clock. Yeah, you've had a hard day of sleeping. But anyhow...
I was up till like 4 something last night because I couldn't sleep because I was not feeling good.
It's planetary alignments for real. Anyhow, I'm going to start this one out with an apology to Marius. Marius, I love you. I will do the best I can with the pronunciation. And he's going to be sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe that this girl pronounced this like that. We're going to be talking about Vlad Tepes. And,
loves it.
Oh, yeah. And Marius's people are from Romania. And that fascinates me. And it's like, I have a lot of respect and love for Marius. And would never intentionally do anything to...
offend or...
Well, to use anybody else's language in a horrible way. If I mispronounce something, it's not because I haven't tried. I actually sit here with some of these pronunciation videos, and then you've always got somebody underneath that's like, this is not how this is pronounced. And I'm like, well, then do a video that tells you how to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
So,
please,
yeah, for those of us that, we speak mountain, we do the best we can with what we've got.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's like people from other areas trying to mimic our accent.
It's not quite.
No, it's not. And it's like there are those who try to get, the accent, and then there are those who say things in a mocking term.
Yeah.
That's what's offensive. So
very much so.
Anyhow, Vlad Tepes is somebody that has fascinated me since I was a kid. And because that it was literally Game of Thrones to the nth degree on all this stuff. And it was like, it would have been pages and pages. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep up. I need a schematic on this stuff. Yeah. So I was blessed to find a website that's called Owlcation.
Yeah.
And that Thomas Swan... he had written an article called 25 Facts About Vlad Tepes the Impaler, which is redundant because Tepes means impaler. So it's like Vlad Impaler the Impaler. So anyhow.
Yeah.
And of course, any of the links that I use will be put in the description box.
He was the one that inspired Dracula, wasn't he?
He was, and we'll get into that. But he, as an individual...
We have a beautiful Living Dead doll presents Dracula.
We do, and that's the Hollywood version, because
yeah.
I actually do not have a picture. There was one famous portrait of Vlad, and I don't have that. I don't know why, but I don't have that. And he didn't look anything like Bela Lugosi.
No, none.
None, whatsoever. But it's okay. And so, going to read through here pretty much verbatim because Mr. Swan made this nice and succinct as opposed to pages and pages and pages, because when you get into royalty and everybody's trying to kill everybody else, nobody can trust anybody else, it's all double crossing. It is truly Game of Thrones, and it makes me glad I'm a serf. Because a serf's life is very simple.
Yes.
So,
for the most part.
Number 1, Vlad Tepes the Impaler was born in 1431 in Transylvania and died in 1476 at the age of 85. Now, within that, there's a lot of people. It's like, well, it wasn't this, it was here. Some of them said that it was Romania, and at that point in time, that Transylvania was not part of Romania.
Why don't we just agree that it was a place?
He was born someplace at some time, and he did.
Yeah.
Some people did some things.
Yeah.
So, in the video. Yeah. So if some of this is incorrect, blame Mr. Swan. I'm just reading what the man wrote.
She's just the messenger.
Yeah, really. Vlad was Prince of Wallachia. It looks like Wallachia, but it's Wallachia. And that was a pronunciation that somebody from Romania was kind enough to put out phonetically. Yeah. I always read the comments, folks, and you can learn a lot of stuff from the comments.
But even some of the people that are like, this is not how it's said, they try to say it, and it's something, a worse version.
Anyhow, Wallachia, I think.
Worse attempt.
That's much prettier than what I was saying. And he was actually prince 3 times. In 1448, and he was there from 1456 through 1462, and then again in 1476. Wallachia was a kingdom that now comprises the southern half of Romania, and his official title was Vlad III. So, as a matter of those, his daddy and all these bit different things like that. We're not going into that. The name Tepes is a Romanian translation for the Impaler. It was a title given to him posthumously. And Vlad earned his name, I'm not going to just number all this stuff, trust me when I'm reading all this, earned his name by impaling his enemies through the torso with large stakes and erecting these stakes in the ground. Impalement would proceed either vertically or horizontally through the core of the body. Sometimes thousands of prisoners would be impaled at the same time. Many victims lived for several days in agony. Now, I did not go into the deep, dark details of the impalement because there was a variety of different ways that people could be impaled.
Yeah.
I think I did find a resource that, or you can find your own resources. Do I want to go into the
That's up to
deep,
you.
dark details of it? It could either go through the abdomen and come out the other side to be impaled. Same thing, it could go into the back through the front, and then the weight of the body would slowly drag it down the pole. Or another way that they did that frequently was go up through the anus till it came out through the mouth.
That's horrible.
It is horrible, but you know. And somebody in one of the comments said they were like, hey, these were not the only people that did impalement.
Right.
This was a technique that had been around for centuries before Vlad discovered it.
Mm-hmm. It's just that he became famous for it.
He did. He really did. And the Ottoman or Turkish Empire was at war with Wallachia. In 1462, Sultan Mehmed II fled with his army at the sight of 20,000 impaled corpses rotting on the outskirts of Vlad's capital city. Upper limits of the impaler's combined atrocities put the death toll at around 100,000, and his father's name was Vlad II Dracula. Dracula originally meant dragon, although it later came to mean devil. His father adopted the name when he joined the Order of the Dragon, which was a Christian group opposed to the Ottoman domination in Europe. As a result, the impaler was often called Vlad Dracula, which means son of the dragon, and later son of the devil. There's a big difference between dragons and devils.
Absolutely.
So again, with words, how they've changed, how they, you know.
Yeah.
And then we go at number 8. Mr. Stoker, Bram Stoker, borrowed this infamous man's name for his vampire novel Dracula. Have you ever read that? Have you ever tried to read that?
No.
It's written in diary form.
Okay.
No, as far as reading it, it's not well written.
Well, diaries aren't exactly well written, so.
So it was just.
So I guess, he stayed true to that theme, the diary format.
And it's one of those that just because something is famous does not mean it's good.
That's true.
So if
it's more infamous.
Yes, if it had not been for the movie version of their adaptation of this novel, there's so much lore that would have been missed.
Oh yeah.
So even within that, I guess he had his part to contribute.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Stoker was with friends and Hungarian professor Armin Vanberry, and may have gotten the idea from him to use Dracula as the character in his novel.
Ooh.
Despite the vampires' association with Transylvania, this land lay to the north of Wallachia and was part of the Kingdom of Hungary. However, Vlad did persecute Transylvanian Saxons during this rule. Saxons means these were early people, or early Germans. So, the Anglo-Saxons that we would discuss the other day, as far as the pre-Christian tradition and stuff. So apparently by this point, the Saxons were kind of sort of Christian.
Kind of, sort of.
Well, yeah, it was 1400. So, and he made frequent raids across the border, and many Transylvanians were allegedly impaled. During his childhood, Vlad is believed to have studied all of the academic disciplines. He was also educated in warfare and chose combat and close combat. Well, of course he was. He was royalty.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the serfs, it's okay for us to be stupid. It's expected.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, well, less is expected of us.
Yeah.
Vlad's father, Dracula, was toppled from power in 1442 by factions allied with Hungary. He was forced to pay a tax to the Ottomans to secure their support for his return to power. As part of the deal, Vlad Tepes and his brother Radu were sent to the Ottoman royal court as effective hostages. So it's like the father made the slaves of the children's to the enemies.
Yeah.
That's... No. Dracula was finally killed by these rival factions in 1447 by being buried alive with his oldest son and heir.
Wow.
Yeah, really. Vlad Tepes received permission from the Ottomans to return and reclaim the Wallachia throne for his family. The Ottomans accompanied him to prevent the land from falling into Hungarian hands. I told you it's Game of Thrones. Once the Ottomans left, the Hungarians quickly removed Vlad Tepes from power. He was left to live in exile in Moldavia. I'm sorry, Marius. God love you. It's to the northeast. When the Moldavian leader was assassinated, Vlad had nowhere left to go. He offered himself to the Hungarian leader, who mercifully allowed him to live. Vlad's knowledge of the Ottoman Empire made him useful as an advisor. Hey, what you know, some things you may know may save your ass.
Yeah.
After Constantinople, not Istanbul, it was still Constantinople, fell to the Ottomans in 1453, war raged between the dude from the Ottomans and Sultan Mahmud. In 1456, Vlad was allowed to lead an army into Wallachia, where he reclaimed his throne and allegedly killed the Hungarian puppet leader in personal combat. So he was not just some wispy something, he was a warrior.
Yeah.
Vlad's second reign as Prince of Wallachia lasted 6 years. During this time, he strengthened the agricultural economy and the military. He ruthlessly punished thieves and criminals in an effort to restore order to the population. However, he also built them new villages and helped local merchants by limiting foreign trade. So, you know, it was one of those, he was a hard ass.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
But these people had been running amok for a long time.
Yeah, so they got what they deserved.
He ruthlessly punished the nobles, who were called the boyars, who he saw as betraying Wallachia by serendipitously making alliances with Hungary.
Serendipitous?
Yeah, serendipitously.
Okay.
They sold their people out.
Yeah.
We know how that feels in this country.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's fine.
3 years.
just slight trauma.
Yeah, 3 years into his second reign.
Slight slavery.
The Pope called for a crusade against the Ottomans. Now, the reason for this, and your brother could explain this much better than I can as far as the crusades and different things like that. People not being allowed to go into the Holy Land. And at some point in time, we will do the association with the Knights Templar and Friday the 13th. Because that's important.
Okay.
But anyhow, it was to be led by the new Hungarian leader, and that was Corvinus. The Impaler allied with Corvinus against the Ottomans after executing the Turkish emissaries sent to make peace with him. I'm sorry, it's late in the evening. I do have a slight story about these emissaries here coming up. Number 18, between 1459 and 1462, Vlad used his knowledge of the Ottoman to annihilate their campaign in Europe. Meanwhile, Corvinus sat on the sidelines and pocketed the money given to him by the Pope. So he throws Vlad's ass out there to get, possibly killed while he's sitting there with his hands in the till.
Yeah.
That's typical politician there.
Absolutely.
When Vlad ran out of money and was threatened with defeat, he sought the help of Corvinus. Having spent the Pope's money on luxuries, Corvinus imprisoned him and forged a letter to the Ottomans in which Vlad requested peace. So, in other words, he misused the money and then throws Vlad in prison, forges a letter, admitting defeat, basically. He then blamed Vlad for making victory impossible and used this as an excuse for the war's failure in subsequent letters to the Pope. I told you it was Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Vlad spent 12 years in prison while his brother Radu became the Ottoman puppet leader of Wallachia.
Wow.
So Radu was an ass too. When Radu died in 1475, pressure on Corvinus had grown sufficient enough to allow the Impaler to reclaim his throne with Hungarian support. However, shortly after reconquering Wallachia in 1476, Vlad Tepes was killed in battle near Bucharest by Ottoman-backed forces led by the new puppet ruler. We understand about puppet rulers too, don't we?
Absolutely, we do.
The turds.
God, Mama.
Do I need to edit that out?
I know. You need to go to bed.
Really, the Turks took the head of Vlad. I think that's what it was that upset me, for real.
Yeah.
To Constantinople as a trophy. Some rumors suggest he was betrayed and murdered by the royals.
I believe that.
I can see how that would have happened.
Yeah.
23. Vlad may have been buried at the Kamana Monastery in southern Wallachia, although the exact location remains unknown. A less likely location is in a monastery. All right, 24. He was married twice during his lifetime. His first wife's identity is unknown, but she may have been a Transylvanian noblewoman. She bore his son an heir. He married a second time after his period of imprisonment in Hungary. Ilona Slagin, was that right? Slagin? Was the daughter of a Hungarian noble, and she bore him two sons, neither of which became rulers. It is said that when Radu led a Turkish attack against the castle while Vlad was gone, Ilona jumped to her death from one of the towers rather than being captured and tortured by the Turks.
Damn. Wait, how did they find out that the letters were forged?
Because I'm sure at some point word got out, they're like, did you send this letter? And he's like, oh, hell no, I didn't. No, it's like, dude's an asshole. He lied. He's.
So then how the fuck did he get justice for that? Why didn't the dude pay his price?
That's up to God.
Well, I meant, like, why didn't he get, like killed or something?
Because a lot of times on the earth that is not how that works. That's why you look for immortal justice being finally there. 25. Vlad Tepes the Impaler is revered in Romania and Bulgaria for defending them against Ottoman rule. In Turkey and Western Europe, he is regarded as a monstrous and vile leader who took gratuitous pleasure in painful execution of his enemies. Now remember, this was the side that he was fighting against.
Yeah.
These were the same people, and I do your own research on this one, that they would go through with spears, infants, on the ends of the spears. So I don't want to hear anything. Absolutely, I don't want to hear anything about them. On some of that.
Yeah.
This was a different world. Brutality was every day. Stuff that we can't even fathom. There's brutality that goes on in our world today that we're just not aware of.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, this is principally due to the popular embellishments of his sadism in German stories. So, they had one on that one side, so what did they do? Smear campaign.
Yep.
That's
horrible.
It is. Russian sources described his deeds as justified, although authorship can be attributed to Romanian scholars. See, the Russians didn't have a dog in that race.
Yeah, so then...
And like I said, that a lot of the people from Romania had written there as far as in Russia. Mm-hmm. I would believe their accounts a whole lot more than I would believe the other ones.
That's true. That's very true.
And then there was I took a snippet out of The Real Dracula, Vlad the Impaler by Marc Lallanilla. I don't know why the hell they give me these names. Anyhow, it's from LiveScience. I will definitely credit this individual. Yeah. And it says, Vlad is credited with impaling dozens of Saxon merchants. Now remember, that is the German people. Mm-hmm. And... who were once allied with the royals in 1456. And remember, we mentioned briefly about the emissaries coming to him, trying to have audience with him.
Yeah.
All right. Around the same time as 1456, a group of Ottoman envoys allegedly had an audience with Vlad, but declined to remove their turbans, citing a religious custom. Commending them on their religious devotion, Vlad had their turbans nailed to their heads.
Damn.
I know at some point, I can't remember where it was, because some of the things that I found, because I've researched this man for many years, as far as what is true, what is myth, as what he did. It seems like at one point he had somebody's feet nailed to the floor. But I think that was kind of common practice on a lot of these things.
Yeah.
It was a different world.
Absolutely was. Jesus Christ.
What was...
Jesus Christ.
Well, they nailed him to stuff too.
Yeah.
What I found really educational there on from Owlcation, comments.
Comments?
Uh-huh. And this one was from Ryan in July 19th, 2019. And Ryan commented, he did what he did. He was the son of a member of the Order of the Dragon and thus was held to defend Christianity. His religion and country were under attack and he did what needed to be done to protect it, only if to show his enemies that he was not beyond being cruel and impaling them to frighten them. Evil? Yes. Evil? No. As far as Bram Stoker goes, he did not know anything about Vlad except what he heard or picked up. His book is not about Vlad. He used some details but did not write a biography on him. It was all made up with little details thrown in. Stoker places the story in Transylvania and the Carpathias, but Vlad was not in Transylvania. Vlad also did not have a castle like in the book. There are several castles in the region that claim to be related to Vlad, but none of them are. And I will include a website that is from, let's see if this is it. Yeah, this is from Romania Tourism.
All right.
And what is, and this is, I don't mind them trying to make money off of this legend.
Yeah, I don't blame them either.
And the castle that they claim was Dracula's was not Dracula's, but it still looks amazing. Mm-hmm. And it would be great to go over there.
I would love to do that.
I would have them go, would have no problem them going, stupid tourist. Absolutely stupid tourist. Let me see these wonderful structures.
Yeah.
Let me experience your peoples, your lands.
Like, we understand that this is not actually Dracula's castle, but we still love it.
We
still appreciate it.
It's a gorgeous, these things.
That is a gorgeous
stuff that
castle,
that we would dream of being able. Of course, we always wanted to travel and just have not been afforded the luxury.
Yeah.
As of yet, it could still happen. Who knows? But I will include this in the link so you can go and read their tourism site. Mm-hmm. This was a great comment also, and this was from ATZ2 and was written on July 18th, 2018. As a Romanian citizen, I find it appalling when Westerners trash Vlad's name. First of all, he is a national hero who, unlike other kings or princes, led the battle for his people, fought alongside his soldiers, being an inspiration to them all. He didn't hide behind the walls of his castles like so many other leaders before him. That is one of the reasons Romanians respected him so much. Secondly, his cruel methods of punishment only applied to local criminals and the Ottomans who kept invading our country for centuries. The Ottomans used to poison wells, kidnap and rape women, and set homes on fire. These were their signature battle moves. So no, there wasn't a lot of sympathy among the locals for these barbarians. And impaling 20,000 Ottomans saved thousands of lives next time when the country was invaded. The Sultan ordered the troops to retreat. Vlad had to be tough in a desperate attempt to finally get some peace. And because he was so tough on the criminals, Valencia had the lowest crime rate ever during his reign. Legend says that one night Vlad, dressed as a peasant, left a bag filled with gold coins in the middle of the town square. 1 week later, he rode his horse in that same place and, sure enough, found the bag where he left it. So, in conclusion, the writer of this article knows nothing about Romanian history. To this day, Vlad Tepes is held in high regards for his bravery on the battlefield, for his fight against crime, and his fierce patriotism. And that person who says that Vlad is like Hitler should try reading a book. I thought that was a fabulous comment.
Absolutely. I think that is.
Because
maybe that person should write a full article about it.
That would be great.
He did.
Well, and I'm glad that when you've got somebody that does have an understanding of what happened and they comment, that helps edify everybody.
Absolutely, it does.
So that was, yeah. And you had some other ones that they had made a lot of comments equating him with other people, and it's all these people talking out of their ass that they don't know. Instead of them trying to learn, they open their mouth, insert their foot, and everybody knows that they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
This other individual who went by I don't know if it's his actual name or if this is his pseudonym, Wolfgang Pendragon. If that's not his real name, it should be. What a fabulous name that would be.
That's definitely a username, though.
But it's awesome.
Yeah.
And a little known fact about the death of Vlad Dracula is that when his coffin was found in the 1920s, Vlad's body was not in it. And as far as I know, his body was not found, which has led to rumors that he might have become a real vampire. Now, I have heard that other places.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Well, even though they had taken his head and everything else, I don't know. We don't know.
Maybe he's Sleepy Hollow. Maybe he's the pumpkin dude.
He could be the Hessian.
Headless horseman.
After all, it has become part of Eastern Europe in the year 1711 that there were at least 3 reported cases of vampires within a week of each other. The first case involved a soldier who was lodging with a farmer and his family when one night a stranger appeared, and even though they gave him food the soldier noticed they were afraid for some reason, and the next morning the farmer was dead. The family revealed the stranger was the farmer's father, who himself had died 10 years earlier, so the soldier reported what had happened to his commanding officer, who ordered the grave of the farmer's father to be opened, and when it was opened, the man's body was found to be completely intact with fresh blood on his lips, so the townspeople staked the body and cut off the head. I've heard that one before, too. Because now there's some things that you can attribute to the decomposition process, but not after 10 years.
No.
And this other one said
it was like mummification or something.
Wolfgang also writes, he said, I was then, they learned, he's got a problem like I do. He then learned of 2 other cases of vampires, one dead 15 years, the other 30 years, and in both cases, both bodies were found intact. And in case of the 30-year-old dead body, fresh blood was found trickling down the corner of its mouth, and again, both bodies were staked and beheaded. So, we will go on with there is a difference between vampire lore and mythology and Vlad Tepes. And somehow they intermingled and intertwined over the centuries thanks to Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
But
thanks to him.
Well, the thing is, within this, there are people who go back and they do research on who Vlad Dracula was, or Dracula, and to find out his history. And whether you agree or whether you disagree, look at the whole thing, not just from one perspective.
Yeah.
Find out what the Ottoman Empire was about, what they did.
Exactly, because they're not exactly the most graceful people.
No, they were. During that time, it was a matter of meeting brute force with brute force.
Exactly.
And on some of the things, because of what Vlad had gone through, the imprisonment, the betrayal by brother, by father, all these things weigh on somebody. He was a person.
Absolutely.
And I've always wondered if that did not, when he was supposedly doing these horrible things to the local people, if he had not gone insane just due to the horrors that he had witnessed. Now, one of the legends, be it actual or not, was that he would dine in the midst of the impaled bodies.
Yeah, but that's just a myth.
It could be a myth. There is a wood carving. And let's face it, the Germans famous for doing a lot of wood carvings during that period of time. Could it have been more things to just slam his memory?
I think so.
It very well could have been. So he was a warrior. He had a really hard life. Like I said, as far as people's like, I want to be a princess. Hell no, I'm all right being a serf.
I'm fine with being a peasant.
Yeah. Yeah, a peasant's life. It's a simple life for us.
Yeah.
So, if you have had experiences with vampires, if your family is from Romania, Marius, honey, anything that you would like to send me, whatever like that, if you would like for it to be shared, I would love, that would be honored for you to send or have your family send things to me.
Do y'all believe in vampires?
Well, yeah, so if you've had experiences with the paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, vampires, cryptids,
Big feet.
Ottoman Empire peoples.
Yeah.
And that whole place, any of that stuff has to be haunted.
Oh, it's
that's the
haunted.
reason
It's cursed.
That's the reason you get all those things coming out of Europe more so than here, because this is, we don't even know what we're dealing with in this land. It's not that we haven't had bloodshed, but I guess we just have not had as much.
That's true.
Or are not as aware of it.
Yeah.
But if you've got family, regional, local myths, legends, history things, any of those interesting things, email us.
Teach us your
Absolutely. Teach us about your culture and your people. Email us at cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. I'll try not to wait so late. I had phone calls late, all this stuff. Everything ended up late today.
It's been late for the past week or more.
I struggle when it's earlier in the evening.
Me too.
But it's like the verbiage and the usage thereof is usually better earlier in the day for me.
Yeah, maybe we should record like in the morning.
No.
Yeah.
That's coffee time. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
The only thought I have when I get up is coffee. Coffee.
I go straight to the bathroom.
Anyhow, so we will do a mini series on vampires, but that was the crux of it. It's not hardcore like the witches.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Yeah, it's not.
The witches is just traumatizing.
Absolutely.
Each and every time I study, it's kind of traumatizing.
There's a stink bug in here. I need
to it'll be all right. So,
the evil little bastards.
you have a wonderful day. We're going to let Kid fight the stink bugs.
I don't even know where it went now.
Well, it'll be all right. As long as it don't fall on your head, you'll be okay.
Don't you dare speak that upon me.
We'll see you all on the next cup. Bye.
Subscribe.